Hi boys and girls, my name's Mrs. Pelletier and I'm the literacy coordinator for the elementary schools in Manchester. I know I've seen many of your faces before as I go in and out of many of your schools. Today I'm going to read 4 books to you by a man named Bob Graham. And he is an interesting man in that he draws all of the illustrations for his books and he writes the words. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read one and then we'll talk about some of the things we notice. If you're sitting next to somebody, I'm going to ask some questions during the reading and then maybe you could talk to the person next to you, or you could even talk to your stuffed animal about what you're thinking. And then at the end, after we read all 4 books, what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about what we've noticed that's similar amongst all of his books. Okay? So I'm going to start with my favorite, How to Heal a Broken Wing. And in this book, there's a little boy named Will. And Will finds a pigeon on the ground. So we're going to read this book to find out what happened to the pigeon and how Will helps the pigeon. And on the first page, even before we get into the story, on the title page, you see the bird, the pigeon right there, and he's in a big city, but his wings look fine there, don't they? He looks healthy. How to Heal a Broken Wing. High above the city, no one heard the soft thud of feathers against glass. So see, on this page, Bob Graham's giving us a little bit of a clue. Do you see the bird up there? Very, very tiny. And what happened is, when he uses the word soft thud of feathers, that means his feathers probably hit something. And if you look at the rest of that, it says soft thud of feathers against glass. He was probably flying along and he didn't see the glass in the window and he hit it. And now he's falling. No one saw the bird fall. Look at what he does. This almost looks like a comic strip. It shows how it's falling in 3 different panels. And now he's on the ground. And look at how big the buildings look compared to the small pigeon. No one looked down. Talk to the person next to you or think to yourself, what are you noticing about these 2 pages? I'm noticing that there's not a lot of color, and all you see really is the little pigeon and just feet. So nobody's noticing the poor pigeon. This says subway. So here's Will and his mom, and they just took the subway, which is it's like a train that moves underground, because this is a big city like New York City or Boston. And you see he's walking with his mom. They're walking, and nobody noticed except Will. And look at that. All of a sudden we see a little bit of color. I want you to be thinking about why Bob Graham put a little bit of color on this page. Oh, and now the pigeon's trying to fly, but he can't do it. Will saw a bird with a broken wing. And look at that, see? All you see is his feet, and he's looking down at the pigeon. So I'm thinking that Bob Graham probably put a little bit of color in this only because Will's the only one that noticed him. He's the light. And then look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So now he picks up the pigeon. I wouldn't recommend picking up a pigeon with your bare hands. You usually use some gloves, but and see that? Look at how Bob Graham does his illustrations. He focuses and highlights one part. Everything else is kind of dark. And see, now his mom's going toward him. Oh, and look at her arms are up in that picture. She's saying, oh, we've got to do something. So she wraps the pigeon in her scarf And then they put it carefully in her pocketbook. And see, in this panel right here, Will sees a little feather that fell off of the pigeon. So he picks it up and he took it home. What do you think they're going to do? Now they're going to go home. They're going back on the subway. Now there's Dad. Dad's home and he's showing him the pigeon. A loose feather can't be put back. See, Will picked up the feather and he thought that he could put it back on the pigeon to make the pigeon, I guess, feel better. But a loose feather can't be put back. But look at what they do. They take out a first aid kit. They put all of these nice bandages on it. He puts the feather up on his dresser here. And then it says, but a broken wing can sometimes heal. So look at that. They take some newspaper in a box and the dad puts holes in it, see? And they're going to put newspaper on the bottom and they're going to give him some food. Maybe it will heal. Do you know what it means to heal? Talk to the person next to you about what you think heal means. If you see all of the things that they're doing, heal means that they're going to try to make it better. Okay? And again, look at what Bob Graham does. He's such a clever artist. He takes the light from the television and just highlights what's going on. And see, they're putting him in the box and they're going to let him rest. And that's what this page says. With rest, and see, this is the first day of April. He's marking the calendar to show us how long it takes for him to rest. So he's sleeping, and then when he wakes up, they feed him, and then Dad comes home with a cage. And when he puts him in the cage, he lets him look outside so he can see what's going on. And Bob Graham's very clever again. He shows us how much time has passed. And these are all of the phases of the moon. So if you think about time, it usually takes a month for all of the phases of the moon to go through. So it must have taken a month for him to help this bird. So it says, and time, so he's putting him in the cage. Look at, he's starting to even fly a little bit out of the cage. So I think it's getting better. And see, and a little hope. So he's had a little rest, and now he's hopeful. He's looking outside, and he sees his friends up in the sky. That might make him really want to get better. So look at this. Now they're putting their coats on, and they're taking the, oh, he wanted to get the feather. So see, Will said, wait, I forgot. And he went here and got the feather. He's going to bring the feather with him. And they go back on the subway. So they said, with a little rest, with a little hope, a bird may fly again. Oops, let me get my little sticky note off of here. Will opened his hands. Look at all the color. See, so he's opening his hands. Oh, there's that little feather. How? Look at that. See how high he went? And look at, he's putting a nice yellow highlight above him. And right down here is where Will is. Think to yourself, how do you think Will's feeling right now? He's far away from him now. He must miss him. And with a beat sorry, hold on. And with a beat of its wings, the bird was gone. So what's interesting is, this is the same moment in time, right? Here, when he's flying, so he's far away from Will, and now this is a different point of view. This is up in the sky, closer to the bird. So the bird must be happy that he's free. I'm sure he's very thankful to Will, because if Will hadn't taken care of him, I don't think he probably would have made it. So what kind of a person, talk to the person next to you about what kind of a person you think Will is. Okay, so this is a nice story about how one person can really make a difference. All right, so let's look over here, and these are some of the things that we noticed as we were reading Bob Graham's book, How to Heal a Broken Wing. We noticed that he uses color in different ways when he draws his illustrations. Remember how in the beginning it was very dark? Let's see, right here, remember? It was dark when he saw the people walking. And then he slowly added color once Will came into the picture. He also draws his illustrations from different points of view. Sometimes we saw close-ups. And then other times we saw from high up in the city looking down. Okay? He did not write a lot of words in this book, right? We noticed that. It's a lot of pictures. In fact, a lot of his book almost looks like a comic strip. Little boxes on one page. And then his illustrations show a lot of the story because they have a lot of details. There weren't a lot of words in this book, so we really have to look carefully at the pictures to understand what's happening in the story. Okay? One thing that you could do at home after you listen to this book is maybe make your own puppets. And I just drew mine, and I used a ruler, and I made the mom, I made the dad, I made Will, and I made the pigeon. So you could draw it and just stick it on a ruler, and then you could act out the story at home. Okay? I hope you enjoyed How to Heal a Broken Wing. Now I'll get ready so we can read another 3 stories.